Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have closing of the first regional fairs of Ali Sabih. For the international scene, presidential elections in Algeria, the electoral campaign is launched. Welcome to our newsroom. The Minister of Defense in charge of relation with Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohammed, today has received in his office the chairman of the board of the director of the National Society for Fisheries and Aquaculture in Egypt, Major General Hamdi Badin, accompanied by the Egyptian ambassador to Djibouti, Mr. Mohammed Mustafa. Discussion focused on bilateral relations between Djibouti and Egypt, the aspects of cooperation in the military file and the means to push them to broader horizons. General Tahir Ali Mohammed, Chief of the Defense Staff, advisor to the Minister of Shehin Mohammed Salah, Director of the Offices of Minister Ilyas Abdullah, and Hassan Douali Yusuf, Director of the CMGA offices, were all among the attendees of this meeting. The Ministry of Women and Family, in partnership with UNFPA, organized this morning, Sunday, November 17, 2000, at the Hotel Acacia, a workshop to present the Community Development Strategy 2020-2022. The objectives of this workshop is to present the strategy for its implementation over the period 2020-2022. The Ministers of Women and the Minister of Family, His Excellency Mumina Ahmed Hassan, UNFPA representative Ms. Aisha, the head of the Ministry of Women and Families, and other representatives of the sectoral ministries took part in this strategy. The strategy was developed by Salahuddin Abdul Samad, international consultant. The strategy is based on the initiative of the community mutual programs launched by the Minister of Women and Family. In 2042, rural localities have been institutionalized in the forms of community development mutuals. The objective is to involve rural communities in development projects by organizing them and equip them top tools that will enable them to face social risks in a spirit of solidarity. For her part, the Minister of Women and Family, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, said that the community mutuals have been institutionalized by decree. Thanks to this decree, mutuals are recognized as local development actors and are consulted wherever state and non-state development institutions intend to implement activities in their respectives. The ministry plans to expand this program to 162 communities over the next 3 years. To this end, the ministry has developed this community development strategy, the main lines of which are as follows. The Minister of Equipment Transport, Musa Mohammed Ahmed, has received this morning, Sunday, 17 November, in his office the Ambassador of France in Djibouti, Arnaud Guillois, accompanied by Stéphane Gallet, advisors for cooperation and cultural action, and also director of the French Institute of Djibouti. Also present at this meeting were the Secretary General of the Ministry of Equipment Transport, Mr. Said Nuh, the director of the Central Buildings and Equipment Laboratory, Ms. Rahima Ahmed Musa, Director General of the Civil Aviation Authorities, Mr. Daoud Ali Abdou. The discussion is focused on the continuity and the strengthening of cooperation in the field of civil aviation, as well as ways and means of providing technical assistance to the Buildings and Equipment Laboratory. It should be noted that France wishes to participate in general in development infrastructures in the Republic of Djibouti. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, His Excellency Hassan Mohamed Kamil, has received this morning the Ministerial Cabinet French Ambassador to Djibouti, Arnaud Guillois, accompanied by Advisor for Cooperation and Cultural Action Director of the International Director of IFAR. The Secretary of State, surrounded by his close collaborators, said he was delighted to welcome the ambassador in one of the largest friendly countries of the Republic of Djibouti. After the customary greetings, Bassais flew over the bonds of friendship and historical brotherhood that unite the two ministries. The ports authorities will organize tomorrow a major event that the new free zone under the high patronage of the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, and the presence of the country's officials. This is to celebrate the first anniversaries of the Djibouti International Free Trade Zone inaugurated last July. In addition, a major hotel, Djibouti International Hotel, will be inaugurated, Djibouti International Tower. The advisor to the President of the Djibouti Ports and Free Zone Authority, Mr. Mohamed Aden Waberi, and the administrative director of this entity, Mohamed Aden Sheikh, has received yesterday morning the ambassador of the Majesty, the Queen of Great Britain, Alsters MacPhail. He was accompanied by the honorary consuls of the Great Britain, Djibouti, Alan Martinet, and the first secretary of the embassy, Jan Baxter, the representative of the Department of International Trade, and that the country's Eva Monroe, Dr. Alsters MacPhail, had come to Djibouti to acquire information about our infrastructure. In this sense, a presentation is on the project carved out, and also to come was made to them. The Ali Sabih branch of young entrepreneurs, in close collaboration with the Ministry of Labor and Administrative Reform, the Ministry of Women and Family, with the unfailing support of the prefectures and the Regional Council, organized the first Askaville Regional Fair on the esplanade in front of the prefecture's office, the local Independence Square, for 3 consecutive days. On the Thursday of the closing ceremony, the Minister of Labor and Administrative Reforms, Isman Ibrahim Roble, his colleagues from the Ministry of Health, Mohamed Warsama Diriye, both from the region, and the Member of Parliament, Roda Ahmed Ali, visit the first ever fair in the regions, initiated by the ambitious young entrepreneurs. This popular fair in Ali Sabih brought together many young creative people, women, specialists in the manufactures of many traditional handicrafts, and farmers. They come from the capital and all the rural areas of the Ali Sabih region, as well as from the Ali Ade refugee camp. More than 20 stands hosted their productions of all kinds, from traditional handicraft and to household furniture such as woodens and chairs to living rooms made from recycled and wooden tiles. In an intervention to the young president, the president of the Young Entrepreneurs Club, Ms. Fathia Idale, expressed her gratitude to the officials who supported the first regional exhibition project in Al Sabia. She also thanked the women participating in these exhibitions and the shops and of the district of Dakhel region. She also noted that this initiative is part of the promotion of handicraft among young women. The Minister of Labor and Administrative Reform, Isman Ibrahim Roble, expressed a vibrant tribute to Ali Sabih young entrepreneurs. He congratulated them and encouraged them by declaring that the whole nation is proud of you and admires the discoveries of your productions. This first fair in Askaville ended with a family photo gatherings, officials and young entrepreneurs exhibition the products of their creativity. The Ministry of Environment organized a workshop to assess and prioritize the technologies adaptations in the file of information to cope with climate change. The workshop, chaired by Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Dini Abdallah, aims to present the results of the technology needs assessment to the members of the National Steering Committee on Climate Change, as well as to analyze the multiple criteria and the results obtained in order to validate the results obtained following the implementations of the procedure. The workshop was attended by the Director of Environment at the Ministry, Hussein Rirash, Chairman of Alta Regional Council, Deputy and Representative of the Interior Region, in addition to the representatives and officials from the relevant ministries and sector. A validation workshop of the survey on the use and ownership of long-lasting insecticide treated net distributed in the commune of Balbala was held this weekend at People's Palace. Malaria remains as a public health problem with a significant socio-economic impact despite efforts made over the past several years. For decades, the universal access approach has been used for high-impact control interventions, including the West Distributions Campaign. This campaign, which aimed to maintain progress in universal coverage, aimed to count 100% of households. As part of his inspections and outreach tours with the residents of this Dakhel region, the prefect of the region, Adan Drar Musa, went to the Kutabuya district of Dakhel, nearly Asla district. The prefect was accompanied by acting president of the regional council, Mr. Ebo Muhammad Ebo, the assistant prefect in this area, as well as his close assistants and local elected representatives such as Mahmoud Hassan Farah, Muhammad Musa Abdallah Barhat, members of the National Union of Women in Dakhel region, the head of the regional office of the national education officials from the centralization services. For his part, the prefect of Dakhel region, Adandrar Musa, spoke in a brief speech about the objectives of this visit, which falls within the framework of the outreach tower with residents of various areas of the region. The fourth editions of the trial course organized by Pat Mr. Ali Diakwa in front of the Hiker's house took place last Friday in the mountains of the city of Arta. More than 100 mountain and walking sports enthusiasts registered and participate in the pleasant and cool climate in the magnificent part of Arta. It is early this Friday that the Deputy Prefect of Arta, Mohammed Fawzi Ahmed, gave the kickoff of this competition where two circuits are made following the same itinerary of the Arta, a 10 kilometers walking circuit as well as a 15 kilometer running circuit planned for Insider's Trophy were awarded to the winners in all categories, men and women, while recording the last times. For the international scene, USA, Donald Trump investigation is in impeachment. More detail with Dini Musa.
The American House of Representatives on Thursday, October 21, approved the investigation for impeachment process against Donald Trump, pushing it to a new public phase by a Democratic majority. It adopted this resolution by 232 votes in favor to 196. With elected officials largely complying with their party's instruction, it is our democracy that is at stake, said the Democratic Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, in the chamber. Democratic MPs are trying to show that Donald Trump should give to get enough dirt on former Democratic Vice President Joe Biden, who is well placed to face him in the 2020 elections. The American president denies any breach of office and claims to be a target of a coup d'etat on Twitter. He announces the greatest witch hunt in American history.
The presidential election campaign is launched in Algeria. Dini Musa once again.
The presidential campaign in Algeria begins this Sunday as planned by the transitional authorities. The 5 candidates officially selected have signed a charter of ethics of electoral practices. The election campaign in Algeria was launched on Sunday, 17 November. It will last until December 12, the date of the election. This is despite popular protests to call off an end to the electoral process and the withdrawal of the entire team in place. The Hirak, the unprecedented protest movement that appeared on Friday 22nd, does not seem to have succeeded so far in bending the power that is holding the course.
Iran is igniting on the price of gasoline. More detail in this report.
The protest movement in Iran is growing. The day after the announcement of a rise in price of gasoline, the demonstrations spread new cities. In Tehran, some drivers turned off their engines in the middle of the road, causing traffic jams. Police fired tear gas grenades to disband the protests. One person was killed and several civilians were wounded in Serjan, in the central part of the country, in Kermanah. In the south, armed individuals have wounded several people by shooting them, according to the state television website. The Iranian government has announced an increase of at least 50% in the price of fuel. They explained that the money will be distributed to the most modest. These demonstrations took place at 3 of the parliamentary elections.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.